Honourable Ministers, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, President of the General Assembly, Chair, CSW, the Executive Director of the UN Women, Assalamu alaikum, peace be with you. On this International Women's Day, it is an honour and a privilege to welcome you to the Conference on Women in Islam, Understanding the Rights and Identity of Women in the Islamic World, as Chair of the CSM and, of course, as the Foreign Minister of Pakistan. We have convened this conference to dispel the deep misperception that exists about the rights, role, and identity of women in Islam. The caricature that dominates the perception of Islam and Muslim society, this caricature is painted by a perception based on ignorance of our history, ignorance of our cultural, historical norms and roles that women have played. And this caricature is a result of the fact that the perception of our religion has largely been hijacked after 9/11 by extremists, by obscurantists who do not represent our faith. And I feel a special responsibility to counter this propaganda and perception. It offends me as a Muslim, as a Pakistani, to the core of my heart, that the face of Islam, unfortunately, in much of Western public perception, are the likes of Osama bin Laden and not Shaheed Mohtarma Benazir Bhutto. For a fuller understanding, it is essential to distinguish between Islamic principles and law and social practices espoused by some patriarchal societies. This is a distinction that xenophobes, Islamophobes, and obscurantists would not like to make, because they believe in discrimination, and discrimination is the first step to tyranny. The Holy Quran proclaims, "O mankind, we created you from a single pair of a male and a female." This proclamation of equality between women and men and between all humans was one of the transformational tenets of Islam. At the time of its inception, Islam was the first religion to give rights to women. Islam forbids injustice, injustice against people, against nations, against women. It shuns race, color, and gender as a basis of discrimination. Islam treats women as human beings in their own right. Under Islamic law and tradition, a woman has an independent social and legal identity and enjoys civil, political, economic, and cultural rights. A woman can inherit, divorce, receive alimony, and child custody, rights which Islam enshrined before many other religions. Islamic history attests to the outstanding role played by Muslim women in all walks of life: education, enterprise, economics, politics, and governance. The Holy Quran refers to the rule of a woman, the Queen of Saba, alluding to her wisdom and to her country being a land of plenty. Almost 15 centuries ago, the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, declared that the pursuit of knowledge is incumbent on every Muslim, male and female. A female Muslim philanthropist, Fatima al-Fihiri, founded the world's oldest continuously operating educational institution in 859 AD, which is why it is particularly painful today that some choose to justify restriction on the rights of women, particularly to education, in the name of Islam, while in reality these steps are a direct violation of the basic tenets of Islam. Muslim women have long been agents of change in their societies. Islamic history is replete with examples of illustrious women. Hazrat Khadija, a woman business entrepreneur. Hazrat Aisha, a scholar and a preacher. Hazrat Zainab bint Ali, a brave fighter, participant and survivor of the Battle of Karbala. Hazrat Rabia Basri, a Sufi mystic. Shuda, a scholar and calligrapher. Even today, Muslim women continue to dominate multiple fields: politics, education, health, science, commerce in Muslim societies. The president of Indonesia is the first Muslim female president of Indonesia. The prime minister of Tunisia, the prime minister of Turkey, a computer scientist at the University of Cambridge, Anousheh Ansari, the first Muslim space explorer and astronaut. Malala Yousafzai, the youngest Muslim girl to have won the Nobel Peace Prize. Excellencies, women have played and continue to play a significant role in Pakistan. Our founding father, Quaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah, observed that there are two powers in this world, one the sword and the other the pen. However, there is a third power stronger than both, that of women. Pakistani women have played an outstanding role in our nation's history. The Quaid-e-Azam's sister was at the forefront of our independence struggle and struggle for democracy. Pakistan prides itself that we were the first to elect a female prime minister and head of government, Shaheed Mohtarma Benazir Bhutto. While addressing the World Conference in September 1995, Shaheed Mohtarma Benazir Bhutto said, "I come before you to speak of the forces that must shape the new decade, the new century, the new millennium. We must shape a world free from exploitation and maltreatment of women, a world in which women have opportunities to rise to the highest level of politics, business, diplomacy, and other spheres of life, where there are no battered women, where honor and dignity is protected in war and conflict." And as Prime Minister, she convened the first ever conference of women parliamentarians of the Muslim world. She launched a public awareness campaign against domestic violence in Pakistan. She called for an end to the social ill of the dowry system. She focused on primary education for girls, on training women teachers, on opening employment opportunities for women. She lifted the ban on women's participation in sports, and in 1989, she set up the first women's bank, the first women's police station, lady health workers. And today, our major cities are marked by thousands of enterprises set up by women. Women in Pakistan have held prominent positions in every facet of life. As cabinet ministers, as the governor of the state bank, speaker of the National Assembly, foreign minister, prime minister, judges in the superior judiciary, as well as federal and provincial secretaries, police officers, army generals, fighter pilots, ambassadors, and UN peacekeepers. Like countries around the world, we have made progress, and like countries around the world, we face many challenges, many problems that we have to still overcome today. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it is our mission to ensure that it is my mission to ensure that my mother's demand for the rights of women and men of Pakistan is fulfilled, and the right to justice and equality, freedom and prosperity. In the recovery from last year's devastating floods in Pakistan, our government has not only led efforts of relief and reconstruction, but much of our efforts in relief and reconstruction are targeted around the women who are the most affected, the most devastated by this natural disaster. We've given out cash grants through the Benazir Income Support Program to women as part of the reconstruction and rebuilding of homes in the province of Sindh. We're going to give property rights to the women of the household, and we will endeavor to further enlarge the support programs targeted to women based on women's empowerment through financial independence, employment creation, and educational opportunities. And we will not relent in confronting oppression, repression, and discrimination against women. Excellencies, in the context of the progressive and enlightened message of Islam, it is but natural for Pakistan and other OIC countries to express our deep disappointment at the restrictions imposed on human rights of women and girls, especially their right to education and work in Afghanistan. These restrictions are contrary to the injunctions of Islam. I sincerely urge the Afghan interim government to reverse these restrictions and enable the women of Afghanistan to make their full and invaluable contribution to the development and progress of their nation. Excellencies, nor can we ignore the plight of millions of Muslim women living in non-Muslim countries who face obstacles in the enjoyment of their rights, including their rights to freedom of religion. The ban on the hijab in some countries is a denial of their freedom. We must counter the denial of religious and cultural rights to Muslim women in all societies, including non-Muslim societies, and negative stereotyping and discrimination against Muslim women. These are manifestations of Islamophobia. Nor can we forget the suffering of Muslim women in situations of conflict and foreign occupation, such as in Palestine and occupied Jammu and Kashmir. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, women are the fountainhead of any civilization. They are the bedrock of a family, of a society, and thus of civilization itself. No nation can truly progress without the social, political, legal empowerment of its women. The role of women in the economic development is pivotal to a nation's progress and prosperity. Inspired by the precepts of Islam and the glowing examples of Islamic history, the OIC member states should lead the way in building a common future for humanity where the empowerment of women and gender parity underwrite a new, peaceful, prosperous, and inclusive world order. I thank you.